Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're coming together to continue our reading of 2nd Ezra, also known as 1st Esdras, and this is chapter 7. Then Cincinus, the governor of Syria and Phoenicia, and Sathrabuzanes, with their companions following the commandments of sovereign Darius, did very carefully observe the Kodesh works, assisting the ancients of the Yahudim and governors of the tabernacle. And so the set-apart works prospered, when Haggai and Zechariah, the foretellers, foretold. And they finished these things by the commandment of Yahuwah of Yisrael, and with the consent of Cyrus, Darius, and Xerxes, my apologies, I'm butchering that, the sovereigns of Persia. And thus was the set-apart house finished in the 23rd yom of the month Adar, in the 6th year of Darius, sovereign of the Persians. So if you remember, Adar is the 12th month, what they called the 12th month after coming out of captivity in Babylon.
Is that the Babylonian name then? Adar?
I believe it is. I can't say for certain if that was just the name they used there and they adopted it, but I'm pretty sure that was the case, and that's the same for most of the names they had for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. And the children of Yisrael, the Kohanim, and the Leviim, and others that were of the captivity that were added to them, did according to the things written in the book of Moshe. And to the dedication of the tabernacle of Yahuwah, they offered 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and 12 goats for the sin of all Yisrael, according to the number of the chief of the tribes of Yisrael. The Kohanim also and the Leviim stood arrayed in their vestments, according to their kindreds, and in service of Yahuwah of Yisrael, according to the book of Moshe, and the porters at every gate. And the children of Yisrael that were of the captivity held the Passover the 14th yom of the first month. After that, the Kohanim and the Leviim were set apart. They that were of the captivity were not all set apart together, but the Leviim were all set apart together. And so they offered the Pesach for all of them of the captivity, and for their brethren, the Kohanim, and for themselves. And the children of Yisrael that came out of the captivity did eat, even all they that had separated themselves from the abominations of the people of the land, and sought Yahuwah. If you can recall what we've been sharing for a while now, all of these things are a foreshadow of what would come, like a type and picture. It plays out in the same manner, like with the patriarchs and then the children later on. We've gone over that again multiple times in the other videos, so I don't want to keep repeating it. But I did want to point out, this is like the return and the coming out of the captivity of the mystery Babylon, and what we'd call the Reformation and the protest against the, well, as you guys will see later on, it's a protest against the paganized worship that's been mixed in with the belief. So it's the same thing that we see here. And they kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 yamim, making merry before Yahuwah. For that he had turned the counsel of the sovereign of Assyria toward them, to strengthen their hands in the works of Yahuwah of Yisrael. Chapter 8. And after these things, when Artaxerxes, the sovereign of the Persians, reigned, came Ezra, the son of Sariah, the son of Ezariah, the son of Helkiah, the son of Shalom, the son of Zadok, the son of Achitub, the son of Amariyahu, the son of Azariah, the son of Miramoth, the son of Zarayahu, the son of Savaiah, the son of Buka, the son of Abi Shalom, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the chief Kohen. I didn't realize that before, but Ezra was actually of the high kahuna, or at least able to be in that position based on who his father was. This Ezra went up from Babylon as a scribe, being very ready in the Torah of Moshe that was given by Yahuwah of Yisrael. And the sovereign did him honor, for he found free unmerited favor in the sight, or in his sight, in all his requests. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but there is some what they call chokmah literature or wisdom writings in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's also in great detail in the Testament of Louis. That is a full version, or a fuller version is in the Dead Sea Scrolls than what's in the Greek that we have carried down in the Testaments of the 12 patriarchs. But in both the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Testament of Louis, you have the idea that they greatly desired that all their children would be taught writing and reading the language of creation so that they can study these words and be endowed with chokmah, or wisdom and intelligence, so that wherever they went, no matter the situation of what they had, they would always be held in honor before everyone that would hear them because they had the truth. They were endowed with comprehension. It's the same thing we see in the patriarch Abraham when you can read the accounts of Josephus, or when you go into the Dead Sea Scrolls and you read what they call the Genesis Apocryphon, but I personally think it's what we'd call the book of Yasher or Jasher. It is the personal writings of Noach, Lamech, and Abram as they wrote in their own person. And I think it was the book of the upright, but I can't prove that. We only have the 3 accounts and fragments of it. So, but in that, Abraham, in his sojourns going to Mitzrayim, after 7 years, or sorry, after 5 years, no, I was right. After 7 years, his wife, no, it was 5. Either way, after a certain time, his wife was taken before Pharaoh. And when, in the course of his living there, they had requested to hear from him the words of Chokmah, and he brought before them the book of Hanok to read to them. So I'm sorry about that. I was getting my account mixed up for why I was telling you the story. They also mention how beautiful Sarah, his wife, was, and the reason why she was taken from him, and also what happens as a firsthand account. It was Lot when the magicians went to Abraham to see if he would pray over Pharaoh. Lot was the one that told him he can't pray over you so long as you have his wife in captivity. And that was when his wise men went to Pharaoh and said, "Hey, I know what the problem is." But that's a separate thing. We're on verse 5. It says, "There went up with him also certain of the children of Yisrael, and of the Kohanim, of the Leviim, of the Kodesh singers, porters, and ministers of the great tabernacle to Jerusalem, in the 7th year of the reign of Artaxerxes, in the 5th month. This was the sovereign's 7th year, for they went from Babylon in the 1st yom of the 1st month, and came to Jerusalem, according to the prosperous journey which Yahuwah gave them. For Ezra had very great skill, so that he omitted nothing of the Torah and commandments of Yahuwah, but taught all Yisrael the ordinances and judgments. Now the copy of the commission, which was written from Artaxerxes the sovereign, and came to Ezra the Kohen, and reader of the Torah of Yahuwah, is this that follows. King Artaxerxes to Ezra, the Kohen and reader of the Torah of Yahuwah, sends greetings. Having determined to deal favorably, I have given order that such of the nation of the Yahudim and of the Kohanim and Luiim, being within our realm, as are willing and desirous, should go with you to Jerusalem. As many, therefore, as have a mind thereunto, let them depart with you, as it has seemed tob or good, both to me and my 7 friends the counselors, that they may look to the affairs of the Yahudim and Jerusalem, agreeably to that which is in the Torah of Yahuwah, and carry the gifts to Yahuwah of Yisrael to Jerusalem, which I and my friends have vowed, and all the gold and silver that in the country of Babylon can be found, to Yahuwah in Jerusalem. With that also, which is given of the people for the great tabernacle of Yahuwah their sovereign at Jerusalem, and that silver and gold may be collected for bullocks, rams, and lambs, and things thereunto appertaining, to the end that they may offer sacrifices to Yahuwah upon the altar of Yahuwah their sovereign, or their Elohim, which is in Jerusalem. And whatsoever you and your brethren will do with the silver and gold, that do according to the will of Yahuwah. And the Kodesh vessels of Yahuwah, which are given for you to use of the great tabernacle of Yahuwah, which is in Jerusalem, you shall set before Yahuwah, or your Yahuwah in Jerusalem. And whatsoever thing else you shall remember for the use of the great tabernacle of Yahuwah, you shall give it out of the sovereign's treasury. And I, sovereign Artaxerxes, have also commanded the keepers of the treasuries in Syria and Phoenicia, that whatsoever Ezra the Kohen and the reader of the Torah of the Most High Yahuwah shall send for, they should give it him with speed, to the sum of 100 talents of silver, likewise also pieces of wine, and the other things in abundance. Let all things be performed after the Torah of Yahuwah diligently, to the Most High Yahuwah, that wrath come not upon the reign of the sovereign and his sons. I command you also that you require no tax, nor any other imposition of any of the Kohanim, or Luiim, or Kodesh singers, or porters, or ministers of the tabernacle, or of any that have doings in this tabernacle, and that no man have authority to impose anything upon them. And you, Ezra, according to the Chokmah of Yahuwah, ordain judges and justices, that they may arbitrate in all Syria and Phoenicia all those that know the Torah of Yahuwah your Elohim, and those that know it not you shall teach. And whosoever shall transgress the Torah of Yahuwah your Elohim and of the sovereign shall be punished diligently, whether it be by death or other punishment, by penalty of money or by imprisonment. Then said Ezra the scribe, Baruch be the only Yahuwah Almighty of my fathers, who has put these things into the heart of the sovereign, to bring honor to his house that is in Jerusalem. Right here, I just want to encourage everyone. Ezra is being commended over and over again. It's being spoken that he is studious in the Torah and he's knowledgeable in the word and law and Torah of Yahuwah Elohim. There's nothing to be disparaging about that. It's always commendable, and we should always seek to be that way if we are able. And verse 26, and has honored me in the sight of the sovereign and his counselors and all his friends and nobles. Therefore I was encouraged by the help of Yahuwah my Elohim, and gathered together men of Yisrael to go up with me. And these are the chief, according to their families, and several dignities that went up with me from Babylon in the reign of sovereign Artaxerxes. Of the sons of Phinehas, Gresham; of the sons of Ithamar, Gamiel; of the sons of Dawid, Letus the son of Sakinis, or Shechaniah, my apologies; of the sons of Peretz, or Pharez, Zechariah, and with him were counted 150 men. Of the sons of Pachath Moab, Elionius, or Elioniah, and the son of Zariah, and with him 200 men. Now you notice the sons of Dawid and the sons of Pharez, or Peretz, are, it does not mention Zerah's children anywhere right here, although that could be Zerah, where it says Zarariah, but I don't know for certain. Um, if you look at the other genealogies, when they come into the land and come out of Mitzrayim, Zerah's sons are not accounted for. They're not mentioned because Mahol was known as Phoenicia Farsa by the Egyptians, and he founded Phoenicia. He gave that to Heman, one of his 5 sons, and the other 4 went off with different remnants of the children that left to found different areas, including Troy, Athens, the kingdom of Attica, Thebes. These are places in Greece. And then you also have a place in Spain and Ireland. But moving on, these are all mentioned before as well. And the information, if anyone is interested, you can find information about these topics in the Book of Taffy, which is a collection of the Bard's songs from Ireland about the migration with Yirmiyahu of Te Taffy, one of the, I think it's the youngest daughter of Zedekiah, who was the sovereign over Yahuda when Nebuchadnezzar came in. He tried to run. His sons were killed before him. His eyes were put out, and he was taken into captivity. But his daughters, with the remnant of the people, were taken to Mitzrayim. And from there, they're not mentioned again. But in secular history and in the accounts from the Irish in their bardic songs, they have her going in a migration with foretelling, being anointed and everything, um, to Ireland, where she marries the son of Zerah, that's the largest landholder there, called the Hermon, and they found the northern kingdom of Ulster, which, if anyone takes the time to look at their coat of arms, it has the Mogen Dawid, what they call the Star of David, and the red hand of Zerah to represent the uniting of the 2 branches. This is historical fact. That's just one. There's also another one you can look at, the ancient history of Caledonia, that talks about these migrations. And there's other secular records showing those things. But moving on. It says, of the sons of Zatho, Shechaniah, the son of Yazulus, and with him 300 men. Of the sons of Adin, Obeth, the son of Yahunathan, and with him 250 men. Of the sons of Elam, Joashua, the son of Gotholiah, and with him 70 men. Of the sons of Saphatiah, Zerariah, the son of Mikael, and with him 70 men. Of the sons of Yahuab, Abadiah, the son of Yazulus, and with him 212 men. Of the sons of Banide, I really don't know what these names are in the Hebrew, so I'm trying to say it as best as I can. I apologize if I'm butchering them. This is As-Selamoth, the son of Yahuseph Yah, or Yoseph Yahu, and with him 160 men. Of the sons of Babai, Zechariah the son of Badai, and with him 28 men. Of the sons of Astath, Yahuchanan, or Yahuchanes, the son of Aktan, or Akatan, and with him 110 men. Of the sons of Adonikam, the last, and these are the names of them: Eliphelet, Yoel, or Joel it says, and Samaiah, and with them 70 men. Of the sons of Bago, Uthai the son of Ishtalchurus, and with him 70 men. And these I gathered together to the river called Theraz, where we pitched our tents 3 days, and then I surveyed them. But when I had found there none of the Kohanim and Luiim, then I sent to Eleazar and Iduel and Masman and Alnathan and Mamaya and Yerubas and Nathan and Unathan and Zechariah and Musolomon, principal men and learned. And I bade them that they should go to Saudaces, the captain, or that should be Zadok, the captain, who was in the place of the treasury, and commanded them that they should speak to Dadius and to his brethren and to the treasurers in that place, to send us such men as might execute the Kohanim office in the house of Yahuwah. And by the mighty hand of our Yahuwah they brought to us skillful men of the sons of Molai, the son of Lui, the son of Yisrael, Asibiah and his sons, and his brethren who were 18, and Asibiah and Anas and Osiah his brother, of the sons of Hananias, and their sons were 20 men. And of those servants of the tabernacle whom Dawid had ordained, and the principal men of the service of the Luiim, to wit, the servants of the tabernacle, 220, the catalogue of whose names were shown. And there I vowed a fast to the young men before our Yahuwah, to desire of him a prosperous journey both for us and them that were with us, for our children and for the cattle. For I was ashamed to ask the sovereign footmen and horsemen and conduct for safeguard against our adversaries. For we had said to the sovereign that the power of Yahuwah our Elohim should be with them that seek him, to support them in all ways. And again we besought our Yahuwah as touching these things, and found him favorable to us. So right here, they made a claim to the sovereign that our Creator would supply all the needs and support those that seek him, and they didn't. And because they had said that, they did not feel it right to ask for guards on the traveling. So instead of doing that, it was a shameful thing to even think it. They prayed, and he helped them. So you can see right here, it says, "Then I separated 12 of the chief of the Kohanim, Eusbraeus, and Asaniah, and 10 men of their brethren with them. And I weighed them the gold and the silver and the Kodesh vessels of the house of our Yahuwah, which the sovereign and his council and the princes and all Yisrael had given. And when I had weighed it, I delivered to them 650 talents of silver, and silver vessels of 100 talents, and 100 talents of gold, and 20 golden vessels, and 12 vessels of brass, even of fine brass glittering like gold. And I said to them, both you are Kodesh to Yahuwah, and the vessels are Kodesh. and the gold and the silver is a vow to Yahuwah, Yahuwah of our fathers. Watch you and keep them till you deliver them to the chief of the Kohanim and Luiim, and to the principal men of the families of Yisrael in Jerusalem, into the chambers of the house of Yahuwah our Almighty. So the Kohanim and the Luiim, who had received the silver and the gold and the vessels, brought them to Jerusalem, into the great tabernacle of Yahuwah. If you remember, when we were reading through the account, I believe it's in second Baruch, of the destruction of the Hikkel, when he petitioned our Maker not to see the destruction and not to have to witness the death of his mother, he was told that the one that he saw was not his mother, but the one not made with hands, the one in the Shamayim, was the one that he has etched in the palm of his hand. But the picture that he was shown, he was lifted up in the Ruach, and he was shown messengers having the wall broken down, the ark and the vessels that were not to be taken, hidden and removed from the place. And then he called the enemy in to take the set apart vessels into Babylon. But I had made a comment then, and you can look again to rewatch it, about how this is a parable of his chosen vessels. If you remember, Shaul said that if we cleanse ourselves from the carnal things, we become a vessel unto value. And those vessels were taken whole into captivity, and they were brought whole back to the land. And they were done so by anointed Kohanim and Luiim, those that, if you break down the words for them, they have significance for what they mean. I don't want to get too far into that, but Luiim means those joined unto me. The Kohanim are those that reveal things. They're the ones that help bring these vessels back, and they're all set apart and chosen and foreordained by our Creator. That's a type and picture of what we can see here in the physical vessels. That's all I wanted to point out there. Continuing on verse 61, it says, "And from the river Theras we departed the 12th yom of the first month, and came to Jerusalem by the mighty hand of our Yahuwah, which was with us. And from the beginning of our journey, Yahuwah delivered us from every enemy. And so we came to Jerusalem. And when we had been there 3 yamim, the gold and silver that was weighed was delivered to the house of our Yahuwah on the 4th yam of Marmuth, the Kohen, the son of Uri, or to the Kohen, the son of Uri. And with him was Eleazar, the son of Phinehas, and with them was Josabad, the son of Yeshua, and Moeth, the son of Saban, Luiim. All was delivered them by number and weight. And all the weight of them was written up the same hour. Moreover, they that were come out of the captivity offered sacrifice to Yahuwah Elohim of Yisrael, even 12 bullocks for all Yisrael, 76 rams, 72 lambs, goats for a shalom offering, 12, all of them a sacrifice to Yahuwah. And they delivered the sovereign's commandments to the sovereign's stewards, and to the governors of Syria and Phoenicia. And they honored the people and the tabernacle of Yahuwah Elohim. Now when these things were done, the rulers came to me and said, the nation of Yisrael, the sovereign, or the princes, the Kohanim and the Luiim, have not put away from them the strange people of the land, nor the pollutions of the nations, to wit, of the Canaanim, the Hittites, the Perishites, the Jebusites and the Moabites, the Mitzrayim and the Edomim, or the Edomites. For both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the Kodesh seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, The rulers and the great men have been partakers of this iniquity. And as soon as I heard these things, I rent my clothes and the Kodesh garment, and pulled off the hair from off my head and beard, and sat me down sad and very heavy. So all they that were then moved at the word of Yahuwah Almighty of Yisrael assembled to me, while I mourned for the iniquity. But I sat still full of heaviness until the evening offering. Then rising up from the fast with my clothes and the Kodesh garment rent, and bowing my knees, and stretching forth my hands to Yahuwah, I said, O Yahuwah, I am confounded and ashamed before your presence. For our sins are multiplied above our heads, and our ignorances have reached up to Shamayim. Forever since the time of our fathers, we have been and are in great sin, even to this Yom. And for our sins and our fathers, we with our brethren and our sovereigns and our Kohanim were given up to the sovereigns of the earth, or Eretz, to the sword and to captivity, and for a prey with shame to this Yom. And now, in some measure, has loving kindness been shown to us from you, Yahuwah, that there should be left us a root and a name in the place of your set apart place, and to discover to us a light in the house of Yahuwah our Elohim, and to give us food in the time of our servitude. Yes, when we were in bondage, we were not forsaken of our Yahuwah, but he gave us favor before the sovereigns of Persia, so that they gave us food. Yes, and honored the tabernacle of our Yahuwah, and raised up the desolate Zion, that they have given us a sure abiding in Yahudah and Jerusalem. And now, Yahuwah, what shall we say, having these things? For we have transgressed your commandments, which you gave by the hand of your servants the foretellers, saying that the land which you enter into to possess as a heritage is a land polluted with the pollutions of the strangers of the land, and they have filled it with their uncleanness. Therefore, now shall you not join your daughters to their sons, neither shall you take their daughters to your sons. Moreover, you shall never seek to have shalom with them. This is about those, if you recall, that were brought into the land that they were coming back to, that brought in errant beliefs that mixed abominations with the truth. The same peoples that were called the Samaritans in the time of our Mashiach, where Simon the magician came from. But continuing on 85, it says, Moreover, you shall never seek to have shalom with them, that you may be strong, and eat the tob things of the land, and that you may leave the inheritance of the land to your children forevermore. And all that is befallen is done to us for our wicked works and great sins. For you, Yahuwah, did make our sins light, or manifest, and did give to such and give to us such a root. But we have turned back again to transgress your Torah, and to mingle ourselves with the uncleanness of the nations of the land. Might not you be angry with us to destroy us, till you had left us neither root, seed, nor name? Yahuwah of Yisrael, you are true, for we are left a root this Yom. Behold, now we are before you in our iniquities, for we cannot stand any longer by reason of these things before you. As Ezra, in his prayer, made his confession, weeping and lying flat upon the ground before the great tabernacle, there gathered to him from Jerusalem a very great multitude of men and women and children, for there was great weeping among the multitude. Oh, that's amazing. If any of you are familiar, I had mentioned it earlier, but the testaments of the 12 patriarchs, they are the accounts of the 12 sons of Yaakov in the land of Mitzrayim, of what they told to their children and family that were still alive on their deathbeds. And in the different accounts, you have different information, but it all relates to the same topics. What the children experienced in their existence, how they treated their brother, the things that came upon them because of it, and to turn their children to right thinking and right living. In some of those, there's visions, there's dreams, there's other things that were fulfilled, and I believe it's in the testament of Naphtali that he receives two visions. One of them happens to be where he sees his father and the 12. They're on the shoreline and they see a boat coming by with the name of Yaakov and Yisrael on the sails. So they all go onto the boat to take their journey. And long story short, Yaakov leaves them. They end up shipwrecked at sea, and they're all scattered about until Louis prays, and then they're delivered from their error. So we see a picture of that right here playing out, where they come out of captivity, but they're at sea, cast about wild, and we see the son of Louis praying for deliverance, and then what happens from that because he's turning back to obedience. So it's a pretty amazing connection. I never really thought about that before, but if you do have those available, it'd be beneficial to check that out. I'll share a link in the Facebook post today after I get the video out too. But to go ahead and finish this, it says, then Yahu, or it's Yekoniyahu, the son of Yaluus or Yaelus, one of the sons of Yisrael, called out and said, O Ezra, we have sinned against Yahuwah Elohim. We have married strange women of the nations of the land, and now is all Yisrael aloft. Let us make an oath to Yahuwah that we will put away all our wives, which we have taken of the heathen, with their children, like as you have decreed, and as many as do obey the Torah of Yahuwah. Arise and put in execution, for to you does this matter appertain, and we will be with you. Do valiantly. So Ezra arose and took an oath of the chief of the Kohanim and Luiim of all Yisrael to do after these things, and so they swore. All right, before we continue, is there any comments or questions on that part? All right, it looks like
I
this.
don't have any.
All right, it looks like this last one's the last chapter, so we'll go ahead and read it. We have plenty of time. I'll wait until it stops moving for you. You just have to let me know, okay? Chapter 9. Then Ezra, rising from the court of the tabernacle, went to the chamber of Yohanan, the son of Elishib, and remained there, and did eat no meat, nor drank water, lamenting for the great iniquities of the multitude. And there was a proclamation in all Yahuda and Jerusalem to all them that were of the captivity, that they should be gathered together at Jerusalem, and that whosoever met not there within 2 or 3 yamim, according to the elders that bear rule appointed, their cattle should be seized to the use of the tabernacle, and himself cast from them that were of the captivity. And in 3 yamim were all they of the tribe of Yehuda and Benjamin gathered together at Jerusalem in the 20th yam of the 9th month. And all the multitude sat trembling in the broad court of the tabernacle because of the present foul weather. So Ezra rose up and said to them, "You have transgressed the Torah in marrying strange wives, thereby to increase the sins of Yisrael. And now," I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut off real quick. I just had an idea though. It mentions the foul weather here. And if you remember when Shemuel was trying to show the people that Yahuwah was angry with them for choosing a tyrant over them instead of him being their sovereign, he sent bad weather. This is something and a theme that's played out and carried even into the times of our Mashiach. And it was actually mocked by, I believe it was Herod. There is the Akko volume. I have to get the title for you, but it's volume 4, and it's a group of writings that some believers had found in the Vatican records and in Constantinople at the Hagia Sophia, which was in control by the caliphates of Islam. They had kept the records of the Sanhedrin and the official things for the discourses between them and Rome. And in those records, some of them they allowed it to be published for an agenda. That's the different issue, but there's interesting information in there. And some of it is like Pilate's account to the Senate about the death of our Mashiach, Caiaphas's account of what happened, an account of the investigation of his birth and the miraculous events that happened then, including what the Kohen of Bethlehem or Bethlehem had witnessed. Um, and there's a few other things, but one of the accounts is of Herod or one of his sons. There's both Herod the Great and one of his sons giving accounts. It was Herod for his killing of the children, and his son for beheading Yahukanon. But in there, one of the Herods is talking about how this is a superstitious and foolish people when they believe that when it's sunny, the Elohim is smiling on them, and when it rains, he's upset. And he goes on to mock them with this very thing. But you can see the evidence for here, and another one in Shemuel, and also there's other accounts in different places that talk about how he'll bring calamities through weather when he's angry with his children. So it's a witness to in more than one place. I just wanted to point that out as I saw it right there. So continuing on verse 8, it says, "And now by confessing, give honor to Yahuwah Elohim of our fathers, and do his will, and separate yourselves from the heathen of the land and from the strange women." Then cried the whole multitude, and said with a loud voice, "Like as you have spoken, so will we do. But for as much as the people are many, and it is foul weather, so that we cannot stand without, and this is not a work of a day or a yom or two, seeing our sin in these things is spread far. Therefore, let the rulers of the multitude stay, and let all them of our habitations that have strange wives come at the time appointed." If I don't know all the events that transpire, but with the things that we're talking about, you see two returns or two waves of return after the Babylonian captivity. The first wave, they established and started building things, but it was not completed. They had persecutions and issues by those that are around them. And in the second wave, although it's less well, it's a smaller beginning. It's done in where they separate themselves completely from the uncleanness and the mixture. They confess their sins and the sins of their fathers, and then they do his will to bring the restoration. That's a very simple way of trying to relate these things, but that's a foreshadow of future events if you can see that.
Excuse me, there was, not sure where I heard it, but I heard that those strange wives had something to do with idolatry.
There's very specific injunctions in scripture not to marry of the women of the nations that were committing idolatry, because they would teach your sons errant beliefs that they would practice. That
Yes.
is the prohibition. Um, you can see it how it played out with Shlomo before. If you remember in the exhortation in the Damascus document, it's discovered there that Dawid did not have the book of the covenant available to him, where
Yes.
specifically mentions not to accumulate wives for the princes or the sovereign. So that was not held against him, but it was made known and it was brought out of the ark during the time of Zadok, which was during the reign of Shlomo. And it was specifically mentioned that he should not do that, and he did do that, and then we see the effects of it. But
Mhm.
in the same way, the Scythians, in historical accounts, the northern tribe, the kingdom or the reign that went into captivity, a large portion of them wanted to keep the Torah outside of the land. They broke off from the rest. They went north into what we call Ukraine, and they stayed there for a very long time, being obedient to the instructions. And one of the things about that you can see throughout secular records is they all looked the same for one, and they all married within their own. They never married anyone outside the nations. So it was a very peculiar thing they carried on even into the times of our Mashiach until they went apostate from the truth again.
Yes.
But
Totally.
you're welcome. It's not a racist thing. It's not about one race being above another. It was literally not to mix the truth with the idolatry of those peoples. And even if his own people were doing idolatry, they were supposed to be cut off and separated from. You don't bring them into the family until they make their way right, because it causes problems.
Mm.
But to continue, and that's why it mentions all throughout the epistles that if someone is still committing adultery and doing those things, they're of the nations. They need to come out of that still. But if anyone is a professed believer and doing these things in any fashion, whether physically or of a ruach nature, like spiritual adultery, we'd call it, they're supposed to be separated from the congregation so that they don't, if they won't repent, separate from them. And those are examples that we see in Korach and Dathan and Abiram, the strange fire that was brought before our Creator in the wilderness, and then those that were trying to do their own will instead of following Moshe, who was ordained by our Creator. And if you look into that, it was Reuben and some of the others that were conspiring with some of the sons of Louis to do so. It plays out in future events also, but that's a separate issue for another time. Continuing verse 13. And with them the rulers and judges of every place. Oh, I'm sorry. I paused the recording, so I'm going to restart it. I'm restarting now. I wasn't too confusing on any of that when I was trying to share the illusions that are shown, or the pictures that we can see for what's relating to our times and what was happening here.
No, I don't think so.